You are listening to Downright Sports with Notorious Sports Critic Brent Reid.
Hello everybody, welcome to all new Downright Sports, and I am your host, the Notorious Sports Critic, the sports influencer, Brent Reid, and it is showtime. And I decided, while I think it was Saturday, while watching some of these games, I don't like how the college playoff landscape is. I think it's bogus. I think the way they pick is stupid. I'm not a fan. In fact, I think they should abolish it. So, here's what I was thinking. Imagine in a world where me, Brent Reid, would take over the college football landscape. Just the college football landscape, okay? So I have here, if you're watching on YouTube TV or Facebook Live, I have here my ideas, okay? Let's go. So, as it stands today, there are a buttload of conferences, right, in the college football world. I mean, too many for me to sit here and name. So many that it would be absurd if I named all of them, wouldn't it? So I will. So you have the American Athletic Conference, you have the ACC, you have the Big 12, you have the Big 10, you have Conference USA, which sounds like Cruising USA. You have the Independents, which sounds like a political party. You have the Mid-American Conference, also sounds like a political party. The Mountain West Conference, just sounds like a club. The Pac-12 Conference, the Southern Eastern Conference. The Sun Belt Conference finishes it all up. I think this is dumb. I feel like you give too much hope because we all know the Sun Belt is not making the college football playoff. In fact, none of the teams in the Sun Belt are ever qualified. James Madison, they all play in the playoffs, so I don't even know why. So we're going to eliminate them. The Mountain West Conference, they're not looking for gold, so we probably don't need them anymore. The Mid-American Conference, do I need to go on? Conference USA, the American Athletic Conference, which was created when they took teams from the Big East and was trying to make a football conference only, just didn't work out. So here's what we're going. So if you look at it like this, the SEC currently has 14 teams. It's going to be moving to 16 teams because Texas and Oklahoma are going to be joining, I think, next year. The Big 10, which now has 14 teams, is going to 16 teams because it looks like UCLA, there's a slide closer to the mic, UCLA and USC are going to join them. The Big 12 is now going from 10 to 8, losing Texas and Oklahoma. The ACC is stagnant at 14. The Pac-12 currently has 12, but losing 2. So they're going to fall down to 10. All right, so here's what I decided. What we'll do is we'll keep the ACC, we'll keep the SEC, and we'll keep the Big 10. We'll keep the Pac-12 and the Big 12. But we need to make the Big 12 and the Pac-12 more competitive. And this is how this breaks down, okay? So the SEC can't add anymore, the ACC can't add anymore, and the Big 10 can't add anymore. That's under my regime. If it was mine, this is how it goes. Creepy, right? So the Pac-12, here's what we're going to do. We're going to steal Boise State, BYU, go with me, USF, the University of Central Florida, and North Texas will all join the Pac-12. The Big 12 will see UNLV, Jackson State, and I put that in there before I knew Dion was going to Colorado. So we're just going to leave them in there because we already voted. And then we, I mean me. SMU, Memphis, Liberty will no longer be an independent. Liberty, who has the last few years have had some pretty solid years. Liberty will join the Pac-12, and San Diego State will join the Big 12. Liberty and San Diego State will both join the Big 12. Geographics don't matter here. Now, you're asking yourself, what about Notre Dame? What do we do with Notre Dame? Well, Notre Dame will remain the only independent because I think it's just symbolic and it's just cool. You know what I'm saying? Now, in my playoff system, since it's going 12, I believe it should stay 4. I like the 4. I think it makes people play harder. I think it makes the conference championships game matter a little bit more. For perfect example, the reason why this voting committee is dumb, right? Who just lost? TCU lost their conference championship. Why are they being rewarded for going to the playoff? If you've taken away, and I know what you're saying, well, Brian, you don't have to win your division to make the playoffs in baseball. True, if you have a wild card, but there is no wild card. It's supposed to be the 4 best, and if you're not good enough to win your own conference, what point is it to put you in? I truly believe Ohio State nor TCU should be in. I think you reward Utah and you reward Kansas State, who are ranked, to make my argument, 8th and 9th. So it's not like they're in the top, they're below 15. They're in the top 10. It's not that hard of an argument to move. If you beat the number 4 seed and the number 3 seed, it's not that hard of an argument to put you in. That's my opinion. But under my regime, this is how the playoffs will break down. Seeds 1 through 5 would all be conference champions, the SEC champion, the ACC champion, the Big Ten champion, the Pac-12 champion, and the Big 12 champion. Seeds 6 and 7 would be the new conference of the Mountain and Coastal USA, and the new conference of the American whatever in the Sun Belt. I would merge those conferences, okay? So the winners seeds 1 through 6 would all be conference winners. Seeds 8 through 12 would be the next best. So teams who either finished in the conference championship game, or save one of those spots for Notre Dame because they want to be independent, making them have to make a choice to pick a division, pick a conference. But that's how I would break it down. No more of this voting. It would be strictly based on your record. In college basketball, they have kind of a system, but it's easy to, in college basketball, if you have wins, if you have more wins than losses by a lot, if a team, let's look at the college basketball rankings as I wrap this segment up. Oh, by the way, all bowl games have to be played on college campuses. Enough of this big arena stuff, because it's not real fans. I don't believe that when Ohio State, if Georgia plays Michigan in the championship game, that arena is just going to be full of all Michigan and Georgia alone. And that's BS. I find that hard to believe. I think it should be played on college campuses. I've said this argument time and time again. The argument continues to be, well, they're not student athletes. They're basically professional athletes. And the more you put them on these big platforms, these big spectacles, you're kind of making them, you're making the argument for everybody. Let's be fair. If you did a rotation, Bama hosted a championship one year, Michigan hosted a championship one. If you hosted these bowl games in these, in the college arenas, there are plenty. Imagine a bowl game at USC's home arena. You get what I'm saying? It's just so much. The visual means more because they're television games. Ultimately, the TV contracts will overcome these massive gates that you're trying to fill, and you'll get the gate. Trust me, you will get the gate. But if you host it on a college campus, it would make it all the more the better because you could start having that conversation again with their student athletes. I don't think it maybe. All right, so I'll make the argument. Maybe the big game can be played in a championship stadium. But let's have some of the games on campus. It's just dumb. I don't like that they do it in basketball either. It's something when you see the students in the stands. It's just something to that. It really is. What was I talking about? I don't even think it matters. Let's just wrap this up. That's how college would break down under the notorious dean, the notorious college president. I don't know. I didn't come up with a name for that. Anyway, the Hall of Fame is about to commence. There are new Hall of Fame applicants. First timers are Bronson Arroyo, pitcher, good pitcher, played for the Red Sox and for the Reds for a while. Carlos Beltran, pretty good hitter. Matt Cain, decent pitcher. J.D. Hardy, can't believe he's retired. R.A. Ricky, decent pitcher. Jacob Ellsbury was okay, got to the Yankees and got hurt. Andre Ethier, very good outfielder for the Dodgers. Houston Street, decent closer. Jason Worth, decent player. Francisco Rodriguez, we all thought was going to be a Hall of Fame and kind of fizzled out. I think he ended up on the Mets. Yeah. Just saying, Justin. Anyway, the purpose of the Hall of Fame is not because you were good at your job, not because you were great at your job. It's because you're supposed to be legendary. You're memorable. You're once in a generation player. You know, like that's kind of the crux of the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Baseball, I think, embodies that because there was a year they put no one in. I think it's a few times. Like they were like, none of these guys deserve to get in. There are a few guys that's on it returning. Jeff Kent, this is his last year. Manny Ramirez, his 7th year. Billy Wagner, his 8th year. Manny should be in, and Jeff Kent should be in. Jeff Kent is one of the greatest second basemen to ever play. Statistically, he's one of the greatest second basemen to ever play. He's a former MVP. He wasn't spectacular, but Jeff Kent was, to the point that so many of these guys make, he was an impactful player. There's no question you couldn't. I watched Jeff Kent play. The guy was good. And when you look at his numbers and where he ranks against other second basemen that are in the Hall of Fame, I don't know how you keep Jeff Kent out. I just don't know. Manny Ramirez is out because of he failed the steroids test, point blank. Which is going to bring me to this whole steroids thing and keeping guys out. Like, the Veterans Committee just commenced and they had the opportunity to vote in Bonds, Clemens, and Rafael Palmeiro. They voted in Fred McGriff. That was it. Fred McGriff, I think, from a statistical standpoint, based just on numbers, Fred McGriff was a phenomenal baseball player. Another guy I got to watch. Another guy I got to witness. Another guy I looked at and said, oh, yeah. Fred McGriff was good. But how do you justify voting in Fred McGriff over Bonds and Clemens? How do you justify voting in any player that played in the quote-unquote steroids era, but you don't vote in Bonds and Clemens? So here's the kicker. Derek Jeter, without a doubt, Hall of Fame, right? Rivera, Manuel Rivera, no doubt, Hall of Fame. Pudge Rodriguez, Mike Piazza, Frank Thomas, now Fred McGriff, all guys, Craig Biggio, all guys in Hall of Fame. John Smokes, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, all guys you put in the Hall of Fame that played in the steroid era. Okay? Go with me if you will. Bonds and Clemens was better than all of them, with or without steroids. Period. They were better than everyone. And the fact that if you're a baseball voter, you could go to bed at night comfortably say, I'm not putting those two in. It's unfathomable. It's disgusting. The Baseball Hall of Fame is a museum, all right? There are certain artifacts and historical things that, I was in Virginia for years. There are plenty of museums in Virginia that have the Confederate flag in the museum. Why? Because it's a part of history. Is it a disgusting part of history? Absolutely, but it's hanging in a museum. Why? Because you need to know about it. You have Bonds and Clemens, two of the greatest players to play in their generation, not in. And because neither one of them have a positive steroid test. All allegations. All. And if your argument is, well, they took it, just look at them. Okay. A lot of guys took it. Go back and look at that Mitchell report. It was like 5 pages long. They still weren't great. Bonds and Clemens was great before the steroids, if they took them. They were great. It just made them galactical better. I just made up a word. So, congrats to Fred McGriff, great player, but like the Baseball Hall of Fame is getting it wrong in more recent years because you have too many guys that are doing it by the numbers versus the eye test versus just what's best for the game. Ty Cobb is in the Hall of Fame. Ty Cobb was a notoriously known to be a bad, immoral player. We don't even know about some of the other players in their moral morale. But just to give you a little context, there were people who did not vote unanimously for Willie Mays or Hank Aaron or Joe DiMaggio. Like, that's how the game, it was like, I will not vote. And then, like, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, Bob Gibson, Babe Ruth, like, the list of names that never got 100% it just shows you how crazy the Baseball Hall of Fame writers are. So I listen to Downright Sports weekdays on WDJC-DB, DJ Chase Radio from 12 to 1. New episodes drop on Wednesdays. Listen on Thursdays at 8 o'clock at night on DynastyRadioNY.com. Your number one host for hip-hop and R&B and soul, except for on Thursdays when Downright Sports takes over. Listen on Trap Radar Radio at 6 p.m. on Saturdays. Sundays on She Real Radio at 10 a.m. And then download the podcast, new episodes at 12 p.m. on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, or all major podcast platforms. You can follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. All right, everybody, as always, deuces.